The submitter said that this happened to her when she was like a teenager, and it was one of the weirdest thing that happened to her, that was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just tell y'all. So boom. One night, she left school and she went to her friend's house to hang out. You know, they did the usual. They watched movies, they ate junk food, anyways. So she didn't live too far, but it's usually just one bus ride to where she lived, and it was like 2 bus stops away. This still was a little distance, so she would rather take the bus than walk. But if she could walk if she wanted to, it's just a little too far for her. Anyway, so she finished hanging out with her friend. It's about 10:30. She don't want to get home too late, so she's like, I'm gonna leave. So she leaves, and she goes to the bus stop. And as she's sitting there, she's like scrolling on her phone, waiting for the next bus to come. She sees this little girl walk up to her, and the little girl couldn't be no older than 8 years old. The little girl had on no jacket, no shoes, just this white little church-looking dress. And so she gets next to her, and she says to the little girl is talking to the submitter, let's call her Sabrina. So she says to Sabrina, "Are you waiting for the 42?" And so that throws her off because, like, what do you mean? Like, are you okay? Like, because one, what kid is out here this late with no shoes? And two, how'd you know I was waiting for the 42 bus? So Sabrina's like, yeah, are you okay? And the little girl replies back to her and says, "It's late. You shouldn't be out here." Sabrina's thinking, girl, you shouldn't be out here. And she starts looking around to see if like her parents are nearby or if there's somebody watching like something. But no, there's nobody. There's really this 8-year-old girl standing next to her, questioning her. And as she's doing that, the 42 bus, which is the bus that she was looking for, pulls up. And now she's kind of like conflicted because she wants to get on the bus, but there's this little girl, like this lost 8-year-old. And so the bus pulls up and opens the door so that she can get in. And the little girl says to her, "You can't get on, it's not your time yet." So she's like, what the helly? So she decides, let me call the police. And she pulls out her phone. And funny enough, as soon as she pulls out her phone died. And so she looks at the bus driver, and the bus driver's kind of looking at her like, "Are you gonna get on? Like, what are you doing?" She is looking at the bus driver like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get on." And then when she turned, the little girl was no longer there. She looked all around, the little girl was nowhere to be found. There's no way that little girl escaped or ran away that fast, and she didn't hear it or see it. It was as if she disappeared. So she's standing there all confused. The bus driver's waiting for an answer, and he's starting to get aggravated. And so ultimately, something tells her not to take that bus. So she tells the bus driver, it's okay. And then she goes back to her friend's house, end up calling her dad to come pick her up because something just didn't feel right. And the little girl was nowhere to be found. Even if she was to call the cops, what is she gonna tell them? And so her dad comes, picks her up. When she gets in the car, she tells her dad about the whole thing. Her dad didn't really take her serious. Anyway, she goes home, weird thing happened. She went to bed, cool. Next day, she wakes up, she goes to the living room, and her dad was already, her parents was already in the living room watching TV. They're watching the news. And right on that screen, it says, "Late night crash, bus 42 in flames." When I tell you, she was dumbfounded. And she reminded her dad of what happened last night. And that made her dad believe her a little more. And her dad ended up telling her that was probably like a guardian angel or something. But that was like the weirdest thing like that ever happened to her. And she wanted to tell her story. Now, the person who submitted this story to me used to spend most of their time in the countryside with their grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, They were all living in a house that their grandpa had built years ago. And according to everybody, living in the house was like living in hell. Let me explain. So, there was one stormy night. It was thundering and raining and windy. You get it. Now, for the sake of the story, let's call them Gina. I don't know. So that specific night, they woke up in the middle of the night, kind of like sweaty. Not really sweaty, but they like woke up in sweats. You know how you wake up from those dreams that got you sweating? Yeah. Anyway, so Gina tries to go back to sleep. And as she's slowly falling back asleep, she starts hearing a tap. And when she heard it, she's like, what is that? And so she opened her eyes and sat up just to realize that it's coming from the window, her window. And that window just happened to be right near the bed. Baby, I would have jumped out. And although it was dark, but the moonlight was reflecting in the window just enough to see exactly what it was. And when she tried to look closer, brace yourself here. In that window, she saw something with long, muddy hands and sharp, black nails. It was indeed not human. There was nothing human about that thing. And so naturally, Gina starts screaming, crying because what? And so both of her grandparents ran into the room to check on her. And funny enough, the minute they got in the room and turned on that light, that thing disappeared. Crazy thing is, her younger cousin was sleeping on that bed right next to her. And everybody else was in other rooms, but nobody heard a thing. Nobody heard any tapping. And to be honest, from that night on, like things just got worse. Nothing got better. They started to hear like things, for example, like the chairs and cupboards were moving and slamming in the middle of the night. Even though they know nobody, like when this is happening, no one should be up. Everybody's asleep. And when they try to tell their grandma about it, grandma just basically says, oh, it's all in you guys' head. But here's the part where it gets even scarier. One night, Gina was basically like, fuck that. I'm not sleeping alone. I'm gonna go sleep with my grandparents. Even though they don't believe me, I don't gotta keep dealing with this. And that's exactly what she did. So she slept in the same bed as her grandparents. Grandpa was in the middle, not grandpa, grandma. Grandma was in the middle. Gina was on one end and grandpa was on the other end. So Gina kind of felt like, safe. So Gina's like, I can go to sleep tonight. I don't have to worry about hearing nothing, like whatever. So she goes to sleep. But boy, was she wrong, because guess what? She woke up to somebody whispering her name coming from the back of the bed. So something is calling Gina's name from the back of that bed. So naturally, Gina started crying, not loud because she was already terrified, but loud enough for Grandma to wake up. And Grandma basically tried to comfort Gina and tell Gina, it was just okay. It's just a bad dream. It's gonna be okay. And then Grandma put Gina in between her and Grandpa. So now she's in the middle. And Gina tried to gaslight herself too with what Grandma just told her. Gina's like, okay, maybe it is a bad dream. Maybe I am tripping. Maybe I'm crazy. And she tries to fall back asleep. And again, as she slowly tries to fall back asleep, she's closing her eyes. She's dozing off. She feels a hot breath right on her face. And it wasn't like a regular breath. It was like an angry breath, like the breath of an angry bull. And that's when Gina realized, oh my gosh, we have a demon in the house. Everything that's been happening, it gotta be a demon. And instantly Gina loses it again and start crying. And Grandma once again told her that, listen, it's okay. Like, it's just a dream. It's just a bad dream. Just trying to make her gaslight her. Anyway, so things like this were things that were happening in that house. Now, fast forward to now, Gina is 21 years old. And when Gina brought that back up, Grandma finally told the truth. She finally admitted that everything that was happening in that house, everything that they experienced, her and her cousins, she only really kept quiet and kept gaslighting them before because they were kids and she didn't want to scare them more than they were already scared. And turns out everything that was happening was really only happening to Gina and Grandma. And Grandma admitted that she was seeing a lot of things, a lot more than Gina had ever experienced in that house. And one time, she even saw this woman dressed in all white while she was taking her clothes off the line. But here's where the backstory gets a little deeper. Gina's grandpa's family is originally from India. And apparently, his mother practiced witchcraft. And Grandma used to try and tell them stories about that when they were younger. They just never really believed Grandma, which I don't know why if y'all experienced all of that, but hey, it wasn't until Grandma showed them a picture of their great-grandmother, the person that did the witchcraft. When she saw that picture, y'all, she started bawling her eyes out, and she's doing all this crying because of how evil her great-grandmother just looked in that picture. She had this dark and twisted presence, and guess what? She used to love dolls. She kept dolls all around her dolls that make you feel like they're watching you. So the theory is that demon or like the thing that was just bothering them was great grandma. Now there's this guy, let's name him Justin. So Justin's parents aren't from the United States, but they live out here, but his parents aren't from there. He was born here though, but his parents are the type that would always travel back home. And when he got old enough, they ended up traveling back home with him. Now, when they took him back, he had to be about like 5 to 6 years old. So he was young, but he wasn't like too young, you know? So he goes back home with them for the first time and everything. And so far, everything's really fun. The house is huge. He's meeting his grandparents. He's meeting some like family members, cousins that he didn't know he had. Anyway, so as he's settling in the house, they all like sat down and they were talking, and grandma ended up telling him specifically that, you know, all the trees are outside are free to use, free to play with. If you like some, because they had different fruits you can get from any of the trees, except for that one right by the door, like right by the front gate. I don't know why I said door. Anyway, that tree is a mango tree, right? You are not to touch from that tree. Even if the mangoes are rotten on the floor, you are not to pick up anything. None of them. Don't even go near the tree, is what grandma said. So in his 6-year-old mind, he's like, okay, sure, whatever. But grandma could tell that he was kind of like putting it off. Grandma put emphasis, do not touch that tree. And he's like, okay, grandma, thing, I get it, whatever. So a week goes past and he's having a great time. He's playing with all his cousins, he's eating good. And then one morning he woke up. And when he woke up, like he was looking for his parents and his parents wasn't there. So he asked one of his cousins where his parents went, and they told him that his parents, his grandparents, and some of the aunties, they went to the market to go buy stuff to make food. They left him something on the table for him to eat, but he didn't want to eat that because he didn't like it. And so he decided, whatever, I'm gonna drink some water and I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna play with my cousins. So he gets outside and he started looking for some of his cousins or whatever. Some of them are inside, some of them are outside, but they're like scattered all around like the property. And so he's kind of just standing there, bored. And then his attention went to the mango tree, and all of a sudden his stomach started growling because he didn't eat breakfast because the one he left him, he didn't like it. I'd just be saying anything anyway. So he's looking at that mango tree. He's like, I know grandma said not to get some, but I'm hungry. Like, y'all didn't leave. Y'all knew I didn't like this. And his bratty 6-year-old vine. So y'all know what he does. He goes and he grabs one of the mangoes and he ate it. He ate it. He went on about his day. Parents, everybody came back. Everybody cooked. Everybody ate. He was fine until it hit exactly 6 o'clock on the dot. The moment it hit 6 o'clock, he started to throw up so bad. And the reason why he knew it was 6 o'clock was because he was sitting there waiting for his show to come on, and it was coming on at 6 o'clock. And right when that show started was when he started throwing up. And I mean like throwing up. Like his parents are trying to give him water, everybody's trying to help him, and he just like can't stop throwing up. But the thing is, he knows what he did. He knows the mango. He knew he wasn't supposed to eat it. But he can't tell them because now he's like, bro, I'm gonna get in trouble. So he's being stubborn and not telling him what is making him sick. So grandma went in her little closet or whatever, cooked up some tea, came back and gave it to Justin to drink. Justin drank the tea, and after a couple of hours, he started to subside. He started feeling a little better. And after he started feeling a little better, grandma came up to him and grandma was like, Justin, did you eat anything you wasn't supposed to eat? Justin was like, no, grandma, no, I didn't. Grandma was like, Justin, don't lie to me, because if you lie to me, I can't help you. You're gonna keep being in pain and this is gonna get serious. And so finally he admits it. He's like, yes, I ate one of the mangoes, I was hungry, blah, 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 y'all know. Grandma was like, I emphasized on not touching that thing. Grandma was tight, like grandma was mad. Grandma's like not cursing him out, but kind of like lecturing him. And before she leaves to go to her room, she said, now you got to deal with that for the rest of your life. And now in Justin's 6-year-old mind, that means like, oh my gosh, I'm about to have a stomach ache for the rest of my life. Anyway, 20 minutes later, Grandma comes back with a different kind of tea, like a weird looking kind of tea, a disgusting looking kind of tea. And she trying to get Justin to drink it. And at this point, Justin is like, whatever's gonna help me right now because I'm in a lot of pain. So Justin drinks it, and it was disgusting, but he drank it. After he drank it, Grandma made him lie down on his bed a specific certain way and laid some herbs around him. After about 30 minutes, Justin was good. So when he started feeling better, he started to like, oh my gosh, thank God I'm feeling better. But little did he know, it's just about to get worse. So he starts feeling better, right? And he thinks like, yeah, my grandma gave me something and it's working and I feel better. So he starts to go to sleep. He starts to fall asleep. And as he's falling asleep, he hears somebody calling his name. Justin, Justin. And it sounds like a kid, so he thinks it's one of his cousins. So he gets up like, yes, like, which one of y'all is bothering me right now? But he don't hear nothing. Every time he answers, he don't hear nothing. So he tries to go back to sleep again. And it happens again. He hears Justin. Justin. This time he gets up. He's like, all right, which one of y'all is playing with me right now? Remember, he's feeling better. So he gets up and he gets out the room. There's nobody there. He goes down the hall. Nobody's there. Seems like everybody's in bed. It's late. It is the middle of the night. So he's like, that's really weird. And as he's walking back to his room, he hears it again. Then he realized, oh, this is coming from outside, but he was upstairs. So he decided to go by the window upstairs to look down, outside, but, down to see like who's calling him, if it's one of the cousins outside, and why are they outside this late? So he looks down and he doesn't see anything. And he's kind of like looking at all the like acres, land, whatever. And as he's looking, he realized by the gate, there's somebody standing there. It looks like a kid. There's a kid standing there. And the more he looks, the more it seems like that kid don't got a face, but there's a kid there. So instantly he gets scared. He runs to his parents and he's like, there's a kid out there. I don't know if it's one of the cousins, one of the kids, but there's somebody out there. So his parents wake up and his parents ask like, what do you mean? And he shows them or whatever. Obviously they tell him there's nobody there. And he's like, yes, there is. And he's terrified. Like he's crying, terrified. So Grandma hears this commotion and she comes out. She's like, what's going on? Parents are like, Justin is saying he's seeing somebody out there that's not out there, and he keeps crying. We're trying to tell him there's no one out there, but he just insists that there's somebody out there. Justin is on the side crying. So Grandma just takes one good look at Justin and said to Justin, you did this to yourself. Learn to listen next time. And then she went right back to her room and went back to sleep. Now, as far as Justin, for the rest of the time that he was there, he saw that little boy. That little boy would be in the same spot every time. Sometimes he'll see the little boy during the day. He started being scared of going outside to play anymore because he would see that little boy, but he had no face. So when they left and came back to the US, when he got older, he visited again and he tried his hardest to do it because he was trying to avoid doing it because it was just so scary the last time he was out there. And so he kind of like worked on his anxiety, went back out there, same thing, he's still seeing that little boy. And so far, he's older now. So far, he's way older. He still goes back home. He still sees that little boy. He doesn't know why. His grandma will not tell him why. His parents will not tell him why, but they just know that he'll be fine. But that's just something he's going to see for the rest of his life every time he goes down there.